Okay, let's go.
Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be machining a 2011 N18 Mini Cooper block. I'll show you the process of what I do to get a block all prepped and ready for some forged internals. Let's get after it. So I got the N18 Mini Cooper block in the surfacer. I'm going to put you on hyperlapse and cut this thing. As you can see on the first cut, it's only touching on the very outside on the water jackets and not even touching on the cylinders. So it's a good thing this thing got surfaced. Hey, we just surfaced 4 thousandths off this thing, so now let's check the surface finish with this profilometer. It checks the rough average of the surface. 17. Great, that's an awesome number. Customer got a set of SuperTech pistons, so let's open these things up and check them out. All right, I got them out of the box. Look like a pretty decent piston to me. And then you always want to check they have a spec sheet. So they're calling for 2 thousandths and 7 tenths of piston to wall clearance. So this mic them all. I'll put you on hyperlapse, make sure they're in tolerance, and then set our bore gauge and get this thing in the CK10. So all these pistons measured the same, but they're about 4 tenths bigger than what this piece of paper says. So we're going to be increasing the bore size a little bit because of the actual size of the piston, and I don't want to live a life on that minimum clearance. So we're going to bump the piston to wall clearance to 3 thousandths. And the bore size, the final bore size is going to be 3-inch, 51 thousandths, and 8 tenths. It's always important to get yourself one of these, a micrometer, because that piece of paper can say anything at once. This tells you what it actually is. I just got this little guy in the CK10. Let's give this thing a couple strokes, see what the cylinders look like. You can see there's quite a bit of a little lip at the top on each cylinder. It might not look like a lot, but let's get a bore gauge in there and see how worn it actually is. So the 20 right there at the bottom is actually standard size. So it's about 1.5 thou at the bottom. It's about 5 at the top, 4.5, 5. Initially, when this guy dropped the job off, he said he already ordered some pistons. They were standard SuperTech, probably about 500 bucks. I told him, well, if you're going to spend that kind of money, you want to bore this block out, because you don't want to put a brand new $500 forged piston in a worn out bore. As you can see, this thing's worn about 5 thousandths. It wouldn't have worked well for his setup. He's cranking a lot of boost at this thing and going to run this thing pretty hard. That's why I always tell people, before you buy parts, take your stuff to a machine shop, get it evaluated, and make sure it's going to make the size you think it's going to make. Or you're going to have to return parts and deal with all that stuff. So let's get this thing home the rest of the way. And I honed a little bit more on these things and got that ridge to go away at the top of the cylinders. We're about 9.5 thousandths to go to size. So let's get to honing and get this thing finished up. Okay, now we're 2 thousandths to size. Now it's time to chamfer the cylinders. So we chamfer the top of the cylinders to help get the rings in the hole, and then we chamfer the bottom of the cylinders to keep that oil film on the piston skirt. That's what that looks like. Just a little chamfer to help get those rings in. And then at the bottom, it's hard to see. I'm swapping my stones. I was rough honing with a 70 grit to rough in those bores. Now I'm moving to a 220 grit. The final step after that is going to be the plateau stones, get all the peaks and valleys out. All right, we're all at size now. 0, 0. Nice. So I'm going to give these cylinders another 3 strokes at light pressure because I'm real picky. And I don't like that little line I make with the bore gauge. So I'm going to give them another 3 strokes, and then after that, we're going to move to the plateau brushes. Get all those peaks and valleys out.
Okay, let's go.
look like before the plateau stones. So let's get to honing with these things. Now, here we go. Remember, 10 strokes per hole. You never want to stop this machine while it's running. What I do is release the pressure and then gradually not push out on the cylinder. Some people press this button, stops the machine as it's mid-spinning, and then it just loads up and probably makes a big high spot right where those stones stop. So you always want to take the pressure off as it's still spinning and then just gradually take it out. Those cylinders look awesome. Those plateau stones do magic on these cylinders. We just finished up this Mini Cooper. I got it out of the wash and threw a little bit of paint on it. This thing looks like brand new. Those bores look awesome and that surface looks great. We also machined this bed plate down and had to line hone the block because we were running ARP main studs and it distorted the bores a little bit, so we had to get this machined out. We also polished the crank. I did a pressure test resurface on the cylinder head. The customer is going to lap the valves and throw some seals at it. And then he also got some Sneed rods. I've never heard of this brand. Let me know if you guys have ran these things before. It doesn't have ARP fasteners, so like I said, I've never ran these, so I have no idea if these are good or not. We got some King bearings, and like I said, these SuperTech pistons. So this guy's gonna be good to go. He's gonna do the ringing gap at his house also and put this thing together. It's gonna make some good power probably. Well, that's going to do it for this little Mini Cooper project. Like I said, this thing's going to be a pretty hard ripper. The guy's getting this thing tuned. I think he's even putting a bigger turbo on this thing. That's going to do it for this one, guys, and thanks for watching.